Hi. Hi, Tabasun. Can you hear me? Hi. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hi.
Hi. Okay.
Hello.
Welcome to History 101. Okay. You actually missed two classes. Okay. You have missed two classes, but I think so you can catch up. How about your other classes? Have you met your other lecturers?
No, I haven't.
Okay, never mind. So this will be your first class. Okay. Some of your lecturers will use a different program. So they will either use Teams or they will use Zoom. But I prefer to use Zoom because it is much more easier. Okay. So
Okay.
have you checked out your notes at the Times?
No.
Okay, go to Times. Go to Times. You know how to go to Times, right?
Yeah. How can I go?
Okay. Are you using your computer now, right now?
No, it's my phone.
Do you have a computer with you? A laptop? Okay.
I do. Yeah.
Either if you are using this on your phone, then use your computer to go to Times.
Okay.
I will let the other students in at the same time so you can meet some of them because they're all waiting to come in as well.
Okay.
So I will talk to you, but get your times on first. You know the address?
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
Because the rest are also coming in at the same time. Okay, Tabason. How do I pronounce your name? Tabason.
Tabasom.
Tabason. Som.
Som.
Okay. Okay. The first two classes, again,
Yes.
okay. Uh,
I didn't choose history though. Why am I in history?
this is a compulsory subject at Taylor's. So
Oh.
you take this as part of your program at ADP. So this has become a compulsory subject. So what is your specialization?
Engineering.
Don't worry, there are a lot of engineering students in this class as well. Okay, so that this is a compulsory subject for all ADP students. And so let me invite the others. It's 2:20. Yeah, hold on.
Okay.
What do you see,
Sorry.
what do you see in front of you right now?
I'm in Times right now.
Yes. Okay. Uh, can you see? Go scroll down first. Scroll down until the end where you see the word spring.
Just a moment, please. Sorry. Okay.
Okay. Can you notice the word spring 2020? So all your notes will be under spring 2020. The ones in front is not for you guys. It's the one below.
Below the 2020 file.
Yes.
Okay.
All those that starts with spring 2020. Okay.
Okay.
So your notes will be there. Okay. You will have all your notes. So if you notice, there's week 1A, week 1B, and so forth and so on, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are now at week 2B.
Okay.
So what you are supposed to do is, do you have a printer with you?
No.
Okay, then never mind. Basically, you are supposed to print out the files that are stated as print, and then the other is the original copy. But everybody is working with the current situation that we have now, so do the best you can. If not, just use a piece of paper to copy down the stuff that I said in class. Of course, all the notes in class will be slightly different in the sense that you have to come to class. If every single thing is given in the notes and is repeated in class, then there's no point in coming to class, right? Okay, so class notes will be slightly different. There might be additional slides here and there, so that you have to come to class to pay attention during class, and whatever that is said extra from the notes, just jot it down by the side. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Hello everyone. Please turn on your video so I know you guys are there. Okay. Okay. Can someone start the ball rolling by putting on the WhatsApp group your attendance? Hi, Oscar. Okay. Today we have a new student. Tabason is here with us. Okay. So welcome to the group.
Thank you.
Those who are not in yet, and yet their attendance are there already. 很厉害啊，你们啊 very sophisticated. No start. So, how many of you think that the MCO will end next week?
Maybe.
How many of you need to get a haircut already? Oscar, your hair is so long.
Not really, actually.
Hi, Nas. I definitely need to get a haircut. I think it's way too long. So we should only a few more students who are not in with us. You guys have any questions before we start our class? Today's class should be Zarin's, Ahmad. You guys should know much better than the rest, because this is your area of expertise, right? You guys will have studied this in school. Okay, the rest may or may not have studied this before.
I haven't studied this.
You mean it's not mentioned at all in school?
I'm in Dubai, so I don't learn this.
You grew up in Dubai?
Sorry?
You grew up in Dubai, is it?
Yeah.
Is the voice clear? Is my voice clear today?
Yes, it is.
Is the mic is at highest, so it's not high, huh? We'll still got a few more people.
How's the day here?
Ask question now. Who wants to ask question?
Sorry, it's my brother.
So ask. You were prompt to ask a question. Ask a question. Chingli, don't worry. Just ask. They are all your friends. They're not going to make any. They're not going to make your life more difficult than it already is. We have suddenly everybody shine. You have any questions?
Excuse me. I can't go inside the module.
Which module? You mean our module? You need to go down to the bottom. Okay. Tabasun, go down to the bottom and you can only access with the word spring in front. If there is no spring in front, you cannot access the files. So for example, if there is no spring 2020, that is not for you.
So there is just one, which is group project.
No, scroll down to the bottom.
Okay.
Okay, do you see? Okay, what do you see?
Oh, yes. Yes, thank you. I saw it.
Files are at the bottom. The files at the top are meant for the current class. So
Okay.
So the files, today's class is week 2B, India's beginnings. So you have actually missed 2 classes, which is ancient Egypt and ancient Mesopotamia. But don't worry, you can catch up very easily. It's not difficult since you can do rocket science, right? Engineering is rocket science, right? This is nothing. History is simple.
Okay.
You guys know what is history important for, right? Have anyone got your textbooks? You got your textbooks already, right? The 2 textbooks. You know what is your textbook very good for? Not? Sorry, what do you think your textbooks are very good for?
Please can you repeat it?
What do you think your textbook is good for?
It is good for reading.
Yes, definitely true. But you know that history, okay, especially your history textbook, is very good when you cannot sleep. Because once you open the textbook and read for a few pages, guarantee you will sleep. Okay, because history is so boring. Okay, so you read a few pages already, guarantee can sleep. So the pen for sleepless nights. So you cannot sleep at night, just read a few pages, guarantee. We have almost everyone, really just 1 or 2 more people. So we can start our class already. Okay. Again, let me welcome. You have a new member in our class, Kapason. Okay, and she doesn't have a group yet. So for those who need an additional member for your group project, you can ask her to join you guys. Okay, so basically, each and everyone, you can use the WhatsApp group to communicate with each other. You can find your friends' phone numbers in the WhatsApp group. So you can use that to find friends, not find girlfriends, boyfriends, just to find friends for your group projects. Okay, so today's class is India's beginnings. Okay, we actually have 3 different classes on India. Okay, so we will look at India 3 times. Today, we will look at India's beginnings. And then, we'll look at classical India. And then, week 6B, we'll look at Islam in India. Okay, so India, China, Europe are some of these regions that will have more than 1 or 2 classes. So for India, we will have 3 classes. For China, we will have 3 classes. And for Europe, we will have more than 3 classes. Okay, so basically for India, we'll see this class 3 times. We'll look at this country or this region for 3 times. Now, let me ask you guys first, since you guys, we have not really started our class and we have not really got into the mode of our class yet. Now, we have looked at Mesopotamia, we have looked at Egypt, right? So what do you think are the major differences between Egypt, Mesopotamia, and India? What do you think are the main differences? Why is it that there must be something totally different from Mesopotamia, Egypt, and India?
Is it like they are all different places?
Yes, of course there are different places besides that.
Different religion.
Yes, correct, different religion. Okay, but tell me why? Why is their different religion so important?
Mm,
Anyone can guess? Timothy, Kylie, Amanda? So, anyone can guess? So quiet.
Time of the civilization.
Timothy say what? The time.
The time period of the civilization.
Period about the same. If you notice, the time periods are about the same. So Mesopotamia, Egypt, and India's, the beginning of India's could be almost similar. Of course, they are roughly few hundred years apart, but they are almost the same timing, together with China as well. Now, when we talk about the Mesopotamian gods, or we talk about the Egyptian gods, okay, for example, we talk about Osiris, and Isis, Anubis, or the Mesopotamian gods. You see gods, you worship these gods only through the lens of the camera. Means what? Means that this civilization of Egypt and Mesopotamia are in the history textbook. Or if not in the history textbook, on BBC documentary. Not BBC documentary, History Channel, or National Geographic magazine. So Mesopotamia, Egypt are there in the past. They are there in the museum. But for India and this say China, these two are living civilizations. Okay, so the gods that they worship in the past are still the gods that they worship today. Okay, our class got no Hindus in our class. Not even one Hindu in our class. Okay, you know this picture or not? How many of you all know this picture? This picture is known as Krishna saving the people from Indra's reign. Okay, so this worship of the past is still done today. Krishna is known as the eternal youth, okay? And he is being worshipped even until today. But you will not see people worshipping the Mesopotamian or the Indian gods, the Mesopotamian or the Egyptian gods. Okay, so that is the difference between India, China, and the other civilizations. India is a living civilization. So what we have studied, or what we are going to see today, okay, whether it is Hinduism that you see 2,000, 3,000 years ago, yeah, there might be some changes. but a lot of it can still be found to be true or to be practiced right now. Okay, before we go, let's watch this short video clip. Okay, for those who can understand Hindi, you definitely know what it is.
जो बीत गया उसका सच तुझे बताना अनिवार्य है। मोहनजोदारो का तारक है तू, नहीं तो आने वाली पीढ़ी कभी जान ना पाएगी मोहनजोदारो की सच्चाई और अच्छाई। लोग नहीं, लोग लालच बसते हैं। मुझे मोहनजोदारो जाना है हुजूर। सरमन्ना नील का किसान अमृतसर लाज भारत ना एक कम ना एक अधिक, वरना सौदागर समझो। इस नगर से कुछ तो नाता है मेरा हुजूर। ये नगर जाना पहचाना अपना से क्यों लग रहा है? वो जानिए सिंधुमा की कृपा ठीक है। मेरा हर कदम मुझे तेरी ओर ला रहा था, तू मेरी संग नहीं है जानी। मोहनजोदारो में सिर्फ ही मैं निर्णय लेता हूँ। कौन जिएगा कौन मरेगा। इस नगर को तहस नहस होने से तो बचा सकता है सरमन, नाम तो सिर्फ ही तू रोक सकता है। ये मेरा नगर है, जो मुट्ठी अब तक खुली हुई थी उसे बंद करने का समय आ गया है। क्या अंतर है तुझ में और मुझ में? अंतर है मां, तुझे मोहनजोदारो पे राज करना है और मुझे सेवा।
Okay, for those who are South Asian,
Sir,
yeah.
just a little information you should know. This movie didn't do well at the box office.
Yes, before that, yes, I want to say that you so fast, man. You so fast. Too fast, Abdali. Okay, I want to ask you guys, okay? This movie is a flop. Very, very bad flop. Okay, so this movie, I think so, was done in 2016 or so. It is one of the most noted failure for Bollywood movies of the year. Now you know why, right? Because you take a story from history and then make it into a movie. So boring. Nobody want to watch. But you guys always so fast. Zareen, have you watched this? You watched this?
No.
Ahmad, you watch this?
No.
Abdali, you watch it?
Sir, I watched part of it.
Okay.
And then I stopped because in near infinitum boredom.
Okay, so basically,
They took the entire setting of Mohenjo-daro and made it, here is a bad guy, here is a good guy, here is a princess. Good guy wants to save the princess and everybody in Mohenjo-daro. Bad guy doesn't want to do it.
so okay, what Abdali is correct in the sense that this story, okay, there is nothing about history, And if you watch too many Bollywood movies, you know, Bollywood movies have very predictable ending. All the endings are predictable. Boy love girl, girl love girl, boy love girl, girl don't love boy. Then at the end, they all jump and then they sing song. Okay, so it's very predictable. But what I want to tell you about is that they are telling you a story. Okay, look at this in front of you. This is the seal, the Mohenjo-daro seal. Okay, a lot of things about Mohenjo-daro remains unknown even until today. Okay, but can you imagine they made a whole movie based on just this seal? Okay, just like what we are going to talk about today. Okay, today's class, okay, we'll look at the beginning of India, okay, through the Indus Valley civilization. And then we'll look at something a little bit more controversial, okay, the Vedic epic, the coming of the Aryans to India. And then we'll look at Hinduism, and then we'll take a short break, and then we'll look at Buddhism, the Mauryan dynasties, and the spread of Buddhism. So today's class, we'll see three different eras. One is the earliest of India, okay, the Indus Valley civilization. Then comes the Vedic era. So the Vedic will include the Vedic period plus the beginning of Hinduism. And then after that, there is a response towards Vedic India, and you have Buddhism. Okay, basically there are two other responses towards Vedic India. One is Buddhism, two is Jainism, three is the reformation of Hinduism to Bhakti Hinduism. So Bhakti Hinduism is the Hinduism that you see today, devotional Hinduism. And then the last part of our class today will be on Buddhism. Okay, so three parts. Now, India, our class, we have Zareen, we have Ahmad, and we have Abdali, and we have Nazeha. Okay, Nazeha is from Pakistan. Abdali is also from Pakistan, right?
No, sir, I'm from Bangladesh.
Nazeha is from Bangladesh. Abdali is from Pakistan. Zareen is from Bangladesh. Ahmad is from Sri Lanka. Okay. 4 students, and not even one come from India. Correct or not? But do you know, you have to differentiate modern India with the Indian subcontinent. Okay, Zareen, Ahmad, Nazeha, Abdelia, okay, you guys are all from the Indian subcontinent. You may not be an Indian national, but you are an Indian from the Indian subcontinent. Okay, so this is the same story, like people who come from Canada, right? Okay, last time, not now. Now people will never say this anymore. In the past, if you are Canadian, right, you come to Malaysia, people ask you, especially Canadian Chinese, okay, they will ask you, you come from where? I'm an American Chinese. But you look at the passport, the first stay in where? Vancouver. Then you ask, how come American Chinese? Oh, not American Chinese. Okay, similarly with India. So please be aware that there is a difference between modern India and historical India or subcontinent India, Indian subcontinent. Okay, if we look at the past, for example, look at this picture. This is India in the British Empire. Okay, in the British Empire, you have Pakistan, you even have parts of Nepal, you have Bangladesh, and to your surprise, you see Burma also included as part of the Indian Empire. Can you imagine that? Burma is Southeast Asia, right? How can Burma be part of India? But Burma was ruled as part of British India for many years, okay, until about 1930s when they were separated out of India. Now, does this picture look very familiar? How many of you can guess where this is? Where is this? Does it look very familiar or not? Okay, by the way, all these people are who?
Indian.
Indians, right? Okay. So you think which part of India this is?
Lalu.
Bengaluru. Did I hear Bengaluru? Okay. This picture is actually in Penang. Okay. Penang until 1867 was ruled as part of India. Okay, can you imagine our country, Penang, the Strait Settlements, Malacca, and Singapore was ruled as part of India until 1867. Only after 1867 that Penang, okay, was transferred to the colonial office in London. So it was for a very long time ruled from Calcutta, okay, in India. So before we start our class, today this is the modern Indian subcontinent. So you have Pakistan, you have Sri Lanka, you have Bangladesh. So you have people like Nasiha, Abdali, okay? Abdali will be here, Nazeha and Zareen will be from Bangladesh, and Ahmad will be from Sri Lanka. Okay, so bear in mind, India in our class does not necessarily refer to the modern Indian nation that we know of today. In fact, the first civilization that we're talking about, Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, are all in Pakistan, not in India proper that we know of. Okay, now, next, how do we know about India's history, especially early history? Okay, how do we know about early Indian history? Number one, you can do is you dig, you have archaeological discoveries. Okay, so we know about Harappa, we know about Mohenjo-daro because they went for archaeological diggings and then they found. You know what is the most important thing they found in Mohenjo-daro and Harappa? Toilets. Toilet. Okay, your simple toilet that you know. Hey, you know, in the past, toilets is a very fun activity. Going to the toilet is communal. So can you imagine your toilet? Everybody go down there and do business number 2 and then say, hello, how are you today? Okay, toilet is a communal activity. Okay, so in Mohenjo-daro, toilets were one of the most important discovery. Okay, you must compare and contrast this with Europe. In Rome and in Greece, yes, there are toilets. But in Middle Ages Europe, there are no toilets. A house may not have a toilet. Okay, so archaeology, 1. 2, you can also source Indian history from Vedic texts, so from Hindu texts. So from texts from Hinduism. Okay, for example, just now we were talking about Indra. Okay, the story of Indra Purandara basically tells about how Indra, the god Indra, comes and attack all these civilizations in India and then brought about the new Aryan race. Okay, so you can know Indian history through Hindu texts, 1, or through archaeology, which means a lot of things that we know about India, especially the beginning of India, still remains unknown. Okay, especially archaeology. Archaeology of early India only started in about 1920s. In fact, through archaeology, we discovered a lot of things about Buddhism in India. Okay, but Buddhism in India is much later. It's not the early India. Okay, now let's look at the first civilization, Indus Valley Civilization and the early trade. Okay, Indus Valley Civilization. Okay, basically we are looking at the period around Mesopotamia, around Egypt, around the same era. Okay, about 2,000 years ago. Okay, what we know about Indus Valley is actually very limited. Okay, we know about the Indus through, okay, the Indus Valley civilization basically is the settlements along the Indus River. Okay, so that is what we know about the Indus Valley civilization. Okay, now we know about this because of the archaeological discoveries. What they found? They found, just now you saw that on that movie, right? The seals. Okay, so these are the seals. Okay, S-E-A-L, seals. Okay, that were found in Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. Mohenjo-daro, can you see Mohenjo-daro is here? Harappa is here. They are very far apart. So they are not KL and Petaling Jaya. You can take one bus and go, no. They are actually very far apart. But they discover similar seals. How can you find a similar product at two different places? It means some form of trade has taken place between Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. At the same time, they have found some of these seals are outside of India, which also explain that there can be possible interaction between India, Mesopotamia, and Egypt. Okay, so you see, they're all about the same. They need to move to trade. Remember our story last week on peanut butter, right? Peanut butter is a very good example of trade. Because you want to eat peanut butter, you need it to be imported. Okay, don't talk about Lady's Choice peanut butter. You want expensive peanut butter. Okay, you want Peter Pan, you want Skippies, those expensive that come from America. That has to come from abroad. Similarly, with Indus Valley, Mesopotamia, and Egypt, there was a trade of luxury products. How we know? Because we discovered the seals, okay, along the Indus Valley. Okay, this whole Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, although they are far apart, there were similar discoveries. Okay, and let me stress this very carefully. Not many things have been discovered. Not many things have been discovered. Okay, so one small little statue, a few inches, are considered very big deal already. Okay, so one of the things that they discovered is this female dancer. This female dancer, now they say, is the first time that the goddess Parvati has been depicted. So this dancer is Parvati, the Hindu goddess. Okay, and the problem about Indus Valley civilization is that we don't know much about it. Okay, so we said so many things just now, right? So after top 10 minutes, then we say that we don't know many things. So the story about Indus Valley civilization, a lot of it remains very theoretical, very speculative. Unlike Mesopotamia, unlike Egypt, we know a lot about Egypt, we know about Mesopotamia. But when it comes to Indus Valley civilization, a lot of what we know about this civilization remains speculative in nature. Okay, and let's look at this documentary for a short while.
The ancient city of Mohenjo-daro is one of the first urban centers in human history. Nestled in southern Pakistan's Indus River Valley, Mohenjo-daro is the largest and best preserved city of the Indus civilization, the earliest known civilization of the Indian subcontinent. Mohenjo-daro was built around 2500 BC, about the same time the Great Pyramids were being built in Egypt, and it spanned a surface area of nearly 500 acres, an incredible size for a city of this time period. Because of Mohenjo-daro's grand scale, archaeologists believe it may have served as a seat of power for the Indus civilization. The city was divided into two districts, the citadel and the lower town. The citadel is home to the city's exceptional monuments, including the Great Bath, a 900 square foot tank fed from the Indus River. Mohenjo-Daro also had a sophisticated water system. Houses had baths and toilets, and the town featured both an elaborate sewage system and fresh water in 700 wells throughout the city. The Roman baths, some of history's most famous waterway systems, weren't constructed until many hundreds of years after Mohenjo-Daro's Great Bath. Mohenjo-Daro has no places of worship or governance, such as palaces, royal tombs, or temples. This may indicate that the society was not built around state interests like the Egyptian and Mesopotamian societies at the time. Rather, the class structure of Mohenjo-Daro may have been relatively equal. The city's second district, the lower town, may demonstrate the society's egalitarian structure. The lower town, with its intricate water system, was home to between 20,000 to 40,000 people. Unlike many urban areas of its time, it was laid out in a grid system similar to modern-day city blocks. For approximately 600 years, the city collapsed. No one is quite sure why, but the cause could potentially have been a change within the culture, or in the path of the river. Without its crucial source of water, the city's residents may have moved away, leaving Mohenjo-Daro nearly abandoned. In 1911, nearly 4,000 years after the city fell into ruin, archaeologists paid their first visit. The ensuing decades of excavations have unearthed countless clues that tell the tale of Mohenjo-Daro, but it still holds secrets for us to discover.
So now let me ask you this question. Okay, we have talked about the first part of India's beginnings. India's beginnings is very much until today uncertain. What we know is speculative. So the first period of Indian history, of ancient Indian history, remains until today speculative. Okay? We don't even know how did it ended. So we do not know how Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro fall. Okay? We can only speculate how it fall. Okay? Some of them, just now like the video, it says that the cities may have been abandoned. The towns may have been in decline. Or it could be climate change, droughts. Okay? Either, usually both ways are extreme, droughts or floods. Okay? Either extreme, either too much water or not enough water. Okay? And this could be the end of Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa. So the Indus Valley civilization, the first part of our class, remains speculative until today. More can be told when more archaeological discoveries are found. And these archaeological discoveries are still ongoing until today. You know why, right? Have you ever been to an archaeological discovery site before? In Malaysia, we have in Kedah. Have you ever painted the wall in your house before? How many of you have done painting at home before? When you paint, right? Kaylee say they have painted, right? Vincent also say you have painted, right? When you paint the wall, right? You use what type of brush? Vincent use what type of brush?
Use the roller.
Yes, you use the roller. The small little brush? The one that shape, the normal brush. The archaeologists use that to do their discovery. Okay? Don't know until when can finish like that. In China, right? They started digging Xi'an 1972 by chance until today also. Not yet finished. So the same thing like in India. A lot of these things will change when we know more stories that come up from the archaeological discovery. Now, we'll go to the second part of India's history. Now, this second part of the Indian history is much more clearer. We know a lot more about the second part of Indian history, although it remains just as speculative. But this story is the story of the Hindu religion. You saw this guy? Something changed. at the end of the Indus Valley civilization, we have the Aryans coming into India. The Aryans are people from, where's Tabason? Okay, Tabason's country is where, is she still here? Tabason, are you here? She left. She's not here anymore. Tabason, are you here? Okay. You must have got disconnected. Okay. From Tabason's country, the Aryans will come to
I'm here.
Great. Okay. So your friends from the Indo-Iranian region, from Central Asia, will make their journey towards India. So the second part of Indian history is known as the Vedic epoch, which means the Indo-Europeans will come. Okay, the Indo-Europeans will come. They are nomadic people. They are aggressive people. They breed horses and they will migrate into India. Whatever that we know about this era is all that comes from the Hindu text, the Vedic text. For example, Indra, the god Indra, okay, will come and attack the citadels of the Indian citadels and come and rain arrows on them. All these are stored in the Vedic text. So we know about this because it is written in the Hindu text. And we can see there is a difference. Okay, if you look at Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, the people are darker, they are darker, and their nose are flatter. Okay, even when Indra came to India, there is the term that they use is the dasa, which means flat-nosed people. Okay, so the Indo-Aryans will come into India, bringing with them, okay, a new kind of religion, a new kind of philosophy, which will eventually become Hinduism. Okay, so the Indo-Aryans will come all the way from Central Asia, from Iran, from Persia, and they will move into India. This form of migration is not 1 year, not 2 years, but many hundreds and even thousands of years. Okay, and they will slowly push the Indians towards the south. Okay, so when the Aryans come, they will push the Indians to the south. Now, who are these people? Who are these Aryans? The Aryans are Indo-Europeans or Iranians. So they are very fair, their nose very high, and they are taller and bigger than the Indians. The original Indians will now be called Dravidians. Okay, so the Indo-Aryans will push the Dravidians towards the south. Okay, so the Indo-Aryans, okay, are normally known as people with blonde hair, blue-eyed people. Okay, so eventually we can look at Tabason's face. She will have Indo-Aryans features. So that is a good example of how they will migrate into the Indus Valley civilization and push the Indians to the south. Okay, and in this process, a new religion will be born. Tabason, have you seen this in Iran before?
Yes, I have.
What is this? What is this? What is this?
I'm not quite sure. It's like an ancient
from ancient Iran is the pharaohs. Okay, so basically this is the angel, one of the angels of the Zoroastrian religion. Okay. Eventually, this Pharavasi will turn out to be the Garuda. The Garuda is the vehicle of Vishnu, the Vahana of Vishnu. Okay, so eventually the Indo-Aryans will come to India and a new religion will be born. Many things changed when the Aryans came to India. What do you think are the major changes that the Aryans brought to India? Remember, Aryans are fairer, higher noses. Okay, they may have not all, some will have bluish, grayish eyes, and we all have black eyes, right? Very seldom.
Sir, I'm guessing unity. Unity of many different states. Because at that time, India was pretty much divided. So I'm guessing unity.
Actually, the opposite of Abdali, it's disunity. Okay? What kind of disunity will come about? What kind of disunity can come about from the Aryan invasion?
I guess people joining the Aryans and people resenting them for entering their homeland.
Yes, correct. But you see, you have two groups of people, you know. Okay? One is fairer, one is darker. Okay? So the fairer skin will push the darker skin down. Of course, eventually there are some intermarriage in between them. Okay? What you will notice is that one, of course, we have talked about it just now. Okay, the introduction of a new religion, Hinduism will be born. Okay, so you have Hinduism will come about in this process of the Aryan invasion. Now, Hinduism is very unique. Hinduism got no founder. You cannot put a founder to Hinduism. Hinduism have a lot of commentators, but they don't have a founder. Okay, so the Aryan invasion, this process of the Aryan invasion will change India because it will bring about a new Hindu religion. Okay, so you have all the holy books, Rig Veda, Yajo Veda, Samya Veda, and all the Veda, the four Vedic texts. And then what will happen for the first time? Two different people come together, one more aggressive, one more passive. Okay, a caste system will come about, a stratification of Indian society, okay, initially based on occupation and skin color. Okay. Skin color and occupation is skin color is an obsession in India. Zareen, what's the most famous brand in Bangladesh? Maybe in Bangladesh and India, different brand. What is the very interesting brand in India? Abdali? Is there?
Sir, I have visited Bombay, so the only interesting trend I can tell you is that one part of the city is highly developed, other is completely slums.
Yes.
That's the only trend I can say.
You know, in India, there is this brand. I'm not too sure whether you have, but we don't have that in Malaysia. In India, there is this brand called Fair and Lovely. Do they have that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Fair and Lovely. Can you imagine? Fair and Lovely is a brand. Actually, a very important brand in India. It's a Unilever product. We have Unilever in Malaysia, but we never have this brand in Malaysia. So it goes to show that the Indian society has been obsessed with skin color for thousands of years, even until today. So the caste system will come about through this Aryan invasion. Okay? First, you divide people by labor. Remember, Aryan are aggressive, horse riders, okay? And the Dravidians are the passive, and later they will become agriculturalists. Okay, so in India, during this Vedic era, there will be a division of society. Okay, society will be divided into four groups of people. The Brahmins are the priests, the monks, and the religious people. The Kshatriyas are the kings, the warriors, the soldiers, and maybe the royalty. And then the Vaishnavas are the merchants and the landowners, and the last ones are the commoners, okay, the Sudras. Just now, Abdali said something very important. You go to Mumbai, you notice in Mumbai and parts of India, there are a lot of poor people. The poor are really, really very poor. And among the poor and the poorest of the poor, you have this group of people that are known as untouchables. Untouchables means cannot touch them one. The literally meaning cannot touch them. They also cannot touch you. Can you imagine in ancient India, you have the wells, right, to take water. The untouchable cannot drink from the same well with the other 4 group of people. So these groups of people, even when the untouchable is standing, can we all see your head, when you stand, right, there's a shadow, correct? Your shadow, sorry, not your shadow, the shadow of the untouchable cannot touch you. Can you imagine that guy there is standing there? Now we have social distancing, so which is good, 1 meter apart. So India is always crowded, right? So imagine you're waiting for the bus and this untouchable standing there and the sun is shining this way, right? So you stand down there, his shadow touches you, not his body, his shadow touches you, you become defiled. So that is how bad is the untouchables in India. So initially it could be okay because you want to divide. You want to divide the society. But over time, this kind of division of society based on birth will create very poor impact in innovation and social change. Okay? Imagine if you are born as the untouchables, for example. One of the jobs of the untouchables in India, even until today, is to go and clean the toilet. So in India, even, is untouchable still an important thing in Bangladesh? Zareen?
Yes.
Is it still important in Bangladesh? Do you all still look at untouchability in Bangladesh?
No.
Naziha? So,
No, sir.
so Islam has taken away the untouchability, okay, but you still see that in parts of society, okay, but not so much as in Indian Hindu society. Okay. Now, what you have in this untouchability is you have one group at the bottom, which is totally outcast. Totally outcast. Okay. Cleaning toilet is one of the biggest jobs of the untouchables. So the untouchables, even until today, if you work in the Dewan Bandaraya, okay, in the municipal council, those people who sweep the floor, who clean the toilet, are usually all from the untouchable class. So much so, when Mahatma Gandhi was in India, was in South Africa. Okay, Mahatma Gandhi's wife, they stay in a commune in South Africa. Mahatma Gandhi, if you stay in a commune, then everybody will have to do your work, correct? So one of the work to do is to clean the toilet. Okay. So there was one time where Mahatma Gandhi's wife had to clean the toilet. And she told the husband, no, I'm not going to clean the toilet. Cleaning the toilet is the job of the untouchable. And Mahatma Gandhi is from the Kshatriya class. So she said, I'm not going to clean the toilet. Mahatma Gandhi said, everybody will have to clean the toilet. Whether you are untouchable or not untouchable, you go and clean the toilet because we are staying in a commune. So Mahatma Gandhi will change this whole idea of untouchable. Now the untouchables are now called, in the past they are called untouchables. In Hindi, it's known as Dalits. Okay? Now they are no longer called untouchables. Mahatma Gandhi will call them Harijans, children of God. Okay, so in India, some of them are now able to enter university. Even the untouchable has become the president of India already. Okay, so untouchability, some of them through education has able to go up. Okay, in China, this concept don't have. Caste is not a system. If you want to look at today's class, right, the most important take-home point of today's class is the introduction of the caste system. Okay? Only in India, you see such a rigid form of social stratification. In China, you see this kind of stratification. But in China, through the Confucian education system, the one right at the bottom can go right to the top through education. Okay? You go to university, you come out an educated person, so you climb up the social ranks. But in India, no. Okay? So now let's talk about the Aryan invasion. When the Aryan invasion came to India, they came from the north and they pushed towards the south. Okay? So the people in the north will, until today, the people in the north will tend to have a lighter skin. And the more you go down and down and down, you see people getting darker and darker and darker. Okay? So that is the legacy of, that is one thing that you can see with your own eyes okay, on the legacy of the Aryan invasion. But can you imagine, the most important thing about the Aryan invasion is not about lighter skin, darker skin, is when you get married. So for Indians, when they get married, this is, for example, an example of a matrimonial advertisement. Now no more true already. Now you know what's the best way to get married, right? Swipe left or right. Swipe left or right and what now? Tinder, right? Where got people use this anymore? Okay. But in the Indian society, can you imagine, they will specify the group of castes. You can only marry a certain specific caste, okay, but you cannot marry outside your caste. Okay. So this whole idea about the Vedic era is the introduction of a very rigid formation of society. Let's look at this.
I'm a half Konkan, half Tamilian who was born in Bombay and now lives in Delhi. So I've always known that Indians were a truly mixed people. But what are the ingredients of this mixture? A new study by 92 scholars from all over the world attempts to answer this fundamental question. Who are the people of the subcontinent and how did they get here? The scholars took DNA samples from 612 ancient individuals from all over, including Iran, Afghanistan, and other areas north of there. They then compared these DNA samples to modern South Asian populations. What they found was that there were three broad populations in this part of Asia. First, there were the South Asian hunter-gatherers, the people who are the original inhabitants of the subcontinent, who we would now connect to those like the Andaman Islanders. Second, the Iranian agriculturists, who are believed to have brought farming of wheat and barley to the subcontinent. And third, the steppe pastoralists, or the inhabitants of the vast grasslands north of Afghanistan. These three communities mixed in different ways to create the ancestors of almost every South Asian today. The mixing begins with the Indus Valley civilization. The scholars did not have DNA samples from the Indus Valley civilization, but they did take samples from individuals who seemed like they were probably from there. What they found was a mix of Iranian agriculturalists as well as the South Asian hunter-gatherers who are the indigenous people of the subcontinent. Then, around 2000 BC, a major upheaval happened in the region. The steppe pastoralists, or the people we know as the Aryans, moved down towards the subcontinent. Here, they encountered the Indus Valley people. Two things happened after this. First, a section of the Indus Valley people moved further south into the subcontinent, mixing again with the South Asian hunter-gatherers to create what is known as ancestral South Indians. Meanwhile, one section of the Indus Valley civilization remained there and mixed with the steppe pastoralists to form another distinct community known as the ancestral North Indians. Almost every South Asian today is the result of further mixtures between the ancestral North Indians and the ancestral South Indians. What does all of this mean? It's hard to summarize the entirety of this research because of how massive it is, but here are a few points. One, Indians are a truly mixed people, including ancestries from the South Asian hunter-gatherers, the Iranian agriculturists, and the steppe pastoralists. Two, there was some sort of Aryan migration, if you count the pastoralists as the Aryans who influenced the Indus Valley culture. This research may even help further our understanding of caste and culture. The researchers found that Brahmins in North India were more likely to have steppe ancestry within them. And four, the out of India theory, which is the presumption that Indo-European culture began in India and then moved westward, now seems very unlikely after this research. 5, this suggests that the Indus Valley people are the true ancestors of almost every South Asian population that currently exists. And we're likely to get even more evidence of this when the data from the Indus Valley site of Rakhigadi in Haryana is revealed. For now, we have confirmed what many have suspected all along, that modern-day South Asians emerged from the mixing of truly diverse communities, helping create a culture in the subcontinent that is truly mixed, just like most of us.
So the topic here today is the Aryan migration to India. Do you notice this word Aryan? Have you heard of this Aryan in European history? Aryan is also another term that is used in European history in the 1930s, right? Which European country used the term Aryan? Huh? Can you guess?
Germany.
Germans?
Yeah, who said? Jason said Germany, Timothy said, or Abdali said, okay, Germany. Okay, Germany in the 1930s under Hitler, they were totally engrossed with the term Aryan. For them, Aryan has to be blonde hair, blue eye. Okay, so the pure German race is Aryan, and anybody who is not blonde hair, okay, not blue eye, usually the Jews, they are considered to be scums of the earth. Okay, so this kind of Aryan, okay, in fact, Nazi Germany sent many scholars. They sent sociologists, anthropologists to India and also to Tibet, okay, to go and find how true is this Aryan theory. They went to go and look at, check all these people. Europeans are very fascinating people. When they come and study about us, they know a lot of things about us. They can bring ruler and measure your nose. Your nose how high, your nose how flat. Okay, your nose higher means you have higher chances of being Aryan. Your nose flatter means you are less chance of being an Aryan. So they go to the extreme of measuring people's noses, okay, eyes, and whatsoever. So the first thing that you can take back from this era is the introduction of caste. Now, the second part about this era, of the second era, the Vedic era, is the new religion that suddenly spring up in India. Okay? Nobody can say when the Hinduism started, but we know that Hinduism today is the religion of India. Nearly 80% of Indians are Hindus. There are about 1 billion Hindus in India, and then outside of India as well, even in Malaysia. Now, the first form of Hinduism, okay, the Vedic form of Hinduism, is very different from the Hinduism that you see today. Okay? For example, the belief of Varuna, Surya, Agni. All these gods are from the Vedas. All these gods are not worshipped today. You never see people worshipping Indra. Okay? They don't worship Indra, they don't worship Surya, they don't worship Agni. Because these gods will change, but this will be the foundation of Hinduism in India and the foundation of a new religion for the Indian subcontinent. Now, what will happen is whether it is this form of new religion, we see that in India, there is a few concepts that will remain until today. For example, the concept of a cyclical world. Okay, the world can come to life, the world can be created, the world can be preserved, and the world can be destroyed. A cyclical concept of samsara. You can be born, you can die, you can come back again. Okay, you were born today, you do a lot of bad things, you come back as a cockroach. Okay, so the concept of cyclical world, the concept of karma, cause and effect. You do good, you plant mango seed, you get mango trees. Don't plant mango seed and get papaya tree, not possible. Okay? So these concepts, all these concepts are all in Hinduism. Okay? It will also apply to other South Asian religions. Jainism will also have the same concept. But Vedic, this form of Vedic tradition of Hinduism, will change the society so much in India. By about 500 BC, there will be three forms of new thinking will come about. Jainism. How many of you have seen Jainism before? Ahmad, have you seen a Jain before? How many of you know this religion called Jainism?
Mostly, I guess they're found in India.
Yeah, they are usually Gujaratis. Okay.
Yeah.
Jain, there is a Jain temple in Malaysia. There are two Jain temples in Malaysia, by the way, one in Bangsa, one in Ipoh. Okay. So Jain, okay, Jain is a very extreme religion. Okay, extreme in the sense that Jain, number one, you know, the Jain monks, they got two types of monks. They got the Sitambara and the Digambara monks. The Digambara monks will not wear any clothes. Okay, they go around not wearing clothes. Okay, and then, you know, can you imagine Buddhist monks, right? You must shave your hair, right? Okay, shaving your hair is something very normal, not painful, right? Okay, but Jains extreme. They will not shave their hair, but they'll pluck their hair. Can you imagine you pluck up your hair instead of shaving your hair? How painful that is going to be. Okay, and they don't eat meat. Okay, they not only don't eat meat, they don't eat potatoes, they don't eat carrots. Anything that has grown in the ground cannot be eaten. Okay, so it's an extreme. But what we can say about Jainism, it is a response towards Hinduism. Buddhism also the same thing. Okay, a response towards Hinduism. In Jainism and Buddhism, caste will be pushed down. Okay, no such thing as caste. Okay. In Buddhism, the word is nobility is due to your actions. You are an Arya, a noble person due to your deeds of what you are doing. Okay, and finally, a response to Vedic Hinduism is now the current form of Hinduism, Bhakti Hinduism. Today's Hinduism is known as Bhakti. Bhakti is Sanskrit for devotional. So devotional Hinduism. What we know of today is the Hinduism that has been developed over a few thousands of years. Okay, Bhakti Hinduism will have all the common gods that you know of. For example, Krishna, Shiva. This is Shiva, Parvati, Hanuman. Okay, so all these current gods that we know of is a form of reform Hinduism. So a reform Hinduism came about after 500 BC due to a response towards Vedic Hinduism. Okay, so now we have done with the second part of lastly, before we go on. Just now when we talk about Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, you notice that the society is very egalitarian. Okay? People, everybody will have to do an equal part of society. But when the Aryans came to India, society will change. Stratification of society will come about. So people are high and low depending on who you are and what you do. Your skin color, what you work as will determine your place in society. The worst place is women. The position of women, okay, especially in rural area, are very low. Can you imagine? You know what is this? What is this? What ceremony is this?
They burning the woman.
Who knows this?
I think somewhat I know. It's when I believe the husband dies, the woman also dies, or something along the lines of that.
This is the Suti or the Sati. Okay, Suti, S-U-T-E-E or S-A-T-I. Okay, it goes to show how you place the position of the woman. If the husband dies, the body has to be burned. Okay, so they burn the husband's body, and in the process of the cremation of the husband, the wife loved the husband so much. Live must live together, die must die together. Okay, remember not? Live must live together, die also must die together. So the woman, the wife, out of being very filial, she will jump on the fire and burn to death. Which means the position of woman is so low that the Aryan invasion has brought about a change of society so much that you can push the woman's position down, that when the husband burns, you also burn together. Why? You know there is a practical reason, right? If the wife burns with the husband, so the property can pass to the son. The wife no need to get the property, can pass to other people. Some more better still, you got no children, can pass to the next door neighbor. Okay, so there is, of course, an economic reason to all these things. Okay, now, so we are done now with the first part and the second part of Indian history. The first part, we have seen a very unique egalitarian society of Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa. But what we know about Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa remains speculative. We will know more when there are more discoveries. Then the second part of Indian history is the Aryan migration. The Aryan migration will bring two things. One, will bring a new religion known as Hinduism. And the second part is will create a stratification of society. So you have the caste, and for even like the caste, you even have a push the position of women lower. Okay, can we take a 4-minute break and you guys can come back and get a cup of coffee and we'll come back. Okay, so 4 minutes, 30 seconds, and we'll come back for class. Okay.
Hey guys, I'm Chamon. Josh, come. Josh, yeah, cheers. Ah.
Cheers.
So any questions while waiting for your friends to be back? What did the chat say? Who is drunk?
So I have one question. Can you help me clarify what the difference is between the Indus Valley and India?
Okay, when we use the word Indus Valley, we specifically look at the Indus River and the valley of the Indus River. So when we look at the Indus Valley civilization, we are only looking at what is now parts of Pakistan. Okay, so the first part of India's civilization is not in India that we know of today. So that is why when I started the class, I told you guys that it is important to differentiate modern India today, the geographical extent of modern India today. So if we are looking at modern India today, right, then we cannot use the class today already, isn't it? Because Mohenjo-daro and Harappa are not in India today. They are in Pakistan. Okay? But Mohenjo-daro and Harappa are two towns in the Indus Valley civilization, and they are the beginning of Indian civilizations. Okay? So the first civilizations that come out from the subcontinent of India will be at this river, in Indus River. Okay, any questions from the rest?
What are the original Indians called? The name you were using some kind of name.
Eventually be known as Dravidians. Okay, eventually they will be known as Dravidians. So the people of the Indus Valley, they will eventually be known as Dravidians. What they are known at that time, I'm not too sure. Okay, I'm not too sure what they were known at that time, but eventually people of the Indus Valley will be known as Dravidians. Okay? And these Dravidians are the same people that we see in South India today. So they are known as ancestral South Indians. Okay? But later, they will be known as Dravidians. What is known then, I think so you can speculate.
Okay.
A lot of things about the first Indian civilization remains speculative. Okay? We don't really know much about it, you know. There are no written texts. We can only guess it from what we have discovered. Okay, so can we move on to the next part of our class? Okay, I think so. Everybody is back. Alif, you're back. Okay, put back your camera for those who are here, so I know you guys are here. Okay, so now let's go to our next part of our class. We'll go to Buddhism. Okay, Buddhism, together with Jainism and Bhakti Hinduism, is the three responses towards Vedic India. So in India, during this Aryan migration, okay, for example, you have the caste, you have the religion. Okay, so three responses will come out of it. Jainism is very small. We will not talk about it. Bhakti Hinduism is going to be almost similar to Hinduism, so no need to talk about it. But Buddhism will be something very big. Okay? Big in the sense that it will be one of the biggest religions in India. Okay? And this will also be the religion that we push out of India. Okay? And what we can see from the very beginning is that Buddhism is an intellectual and emotional response, a revolt towards the old Vedic India. Why is it going to be a revolt? Because it's going to challenge the principles of Vedic India. For example, caste. In Buddhism, there is no such thing as being poor, rich, upper, lower caste. Everybody is the same due to his deeds. Okay? So there's this old statement, a person, a nobility, Arya. The name Arya comes from the deeds of the person. Not a person is not born an Arya through the father or the mother, but through what he has done. Okay, so Buddhism is democracy in spirit. Okay, there are two forms of Buddhist schools in India. Okay, there will be the Theravada Buddhist school and there will be the Mahayana Buddhist school. The Theravada Buddhist school is what we'll look at today. Okay, today's class will look mainly at the Theravada Buddhist schools. The next time we'll come back and look at classical India, we'll see the Mahayana Buddhist school. Mahayana Buddhist schools developed in two parts of India. One is in somewhere near Kushan Valley in Kashmir, and another in Zarin's and Nasiha's place in present-day Bangladesh, in the south, okay? In Bengal. May not be Bangladesh, could be next door state Bengal. Okay? So that is Theravada and Mahayana Buddhism. Today we'll look at mainly Theravada Buddhism. The next time we look back at India, it will be through Mahayana Buddhism. Now, when the Aryans came to India, okay, there is also one more period when the Aryans came to India. It also will coincide with Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great will cross the Indus Valley at about 326 BC. Okay? In 326 BC, for the first time, you have Greek influence in India. Buddhism is an Indic religion, but when the Buddha was alive for 500 years, there was no such thing as a Buddha statue. Okay? The Buddha was worshipped. For example, his footprint, okay? His ashes made into a chedi, okay, is worshipped. But no statues of the Buddha were made until there were Greek influence in India. So Alexander the Great will bring, although Alexander the Great will just penetrate India for a few years, but he will leave behind a very strong legacy. The legacy of making the first Buddha statue. And if you notice, the first Buddha statues that you find in Gandhara and in Taxila, which is now northern India near Kashmir, okay, the Buddha statue. Can you see this Buddha statue? He looks not. How does he look like? He looks very Angmo, right? He looks very Caucasian. He don't look Indian. Look at his face. Okay, he looks very Caucasian. Okay, he looks very Greek. So the Greeks were very important. Now, Buddha statues are very interesting right now. Have you noticed Buddha statues all over the world all look very different? Every single Buddha statue from every part of the world look very different because the Buddha statue is normally influenced by the people who adopt the religion. Okay? Look at this. This is the Gandhara Buddha just now. He looks Greek, right? Okay? In old Thailand, in old Siam, got no McDonald's, got no Kentucky, got no Burger King. So the statue of the Buddha very slim. You know, you go to Vietnam 10 years ago, got no McDonald's in Vietnam. So the people very slim. So the Buddha statue also very slim, right? Now Thai people very fat. So very soon the Buddha statue also will become fatter. Okay? So you can see this is Sri Lanka, this is Burma, this is Korean, this is in Bhutan, this is the Kamakura, Japan, and this is in Hong Kong. Okay? You notice that the Buddha statue will change according to the people who adopt the religion. So now, when we look at the first part of Alexander the Great, what he did was he will change the idea of Buddhism and the making of the first Buddha statue. But what is important about Buddhism is not the statue. This is just sidetrack. Okay. What is important about Buddhism is that Buddhism will be a response towards Vedic India. Okay. For example, the idea of even to reject the idea of God, to reject the idea of caste, okay, and the reject the idea of being this one soul that continuously come back again, okay? If the concept of Hinduism is Atman, okay, the belief of one soul that comes back one again, the Buddhism will be the opposite, no soul, anatta. Okay, so things like this, when you can see Buddhism and you see Hinduism, Buddhism and Hinduism Buddhism will be a response towards Vedic Hinduism. But at the same time, there will be some form of compromise. For example, the idea of reincarnation, the idea of karma, the idea of the cyclical nature, a lot of things will remain. Okay? In terms of politics, the most important dynasty when it comes to Buddhism in India is the Maurya dynasty. So the Maurya dynasty is about 323 to 184. So this dynasty is about 150 years, 150, about 200 years, no, about 300 years after the death of the Buddha. Okay? Buddhism, when the Buddha was alive, is a religion of only parts of northern India. Okay? In now what will be in the South Nepal, that part of India, very, very selected small part of India. But the Mauryan dynasty will take this northern Indian religion and make it into a religion of India. Okay? The most important king will be Asoka. Asoka will be the king. He was not a Buddhist at birth, he was a Hindu. But after the Battle of Kalinga, where he saw 100,000 people die, just because of him going to war, he saw people dying, and then he came to question, why are people dying for the sake of the king? Because of that, he saw and realized that, hey, better to not make people die so easily like that, right? Okay, so he converted to Buddhism. Okay? And because of Asoka, okay, Buddhism will be sent out of India. In Sri Lanka, Ahmad, were you told, do you study in Sri Lanka at all, or you studied only in Dubai?
Only in Dubai.
Okay. If you study in Sri Lanka, okay, I think so it should be part of the text in school where they will study that Asoka sent Mahinda to Sri Lanka, okay, to our part of the world, to Southeast Asia. He will send these two guys named Sona and Uttara. Okay, two guys, the two missionaries that will come to Southeast Asia. Asoka will also send missionaries all the way to Greece to spread Buddhism. So Asoka is the person that will make Buddhism from a small religion into an Indian religion and eventually into a world religion. Okay? And it is through Asoka that you have, for example, the idea of Buddhism as a world religion. And then during the life of Asoka, everywhere he went to look for the relics of the Buddha. And when he finds the relics of the Buddha, he'll put this Asoka pillar. This Asoka pillar is now part of the coat of arms of the modern Indian nation. Okay? So that is how important that Asoka has played such a big role in promoting Buddhism as a world religion. Now, from a very small part of India, eventually, through the efforts of Asoka, Buddhism will be pushed towards Sri Lanka, towards Southeast Asia, and eventually all the way to China, Korea, Japan, and finally in Tibet. Of course, this will take a very, very long time. Asoka, for example, right, he will, in the text, you will read some of Asoka's places. He will write of this place called Iona, which is Greece. Okay? He will send missionaries all the way to Greece, of course, nowadays when we track back and look, where did all these missionaries went? The Greece one, of course, we do not know anything about it because Greece did not accept Buddhism, so people forget about it. But for example, in Sri Lanka, Mahinda, in Asoka's, not sure whether his son or nephew or Mahinda, he was sent to Sri Lanka and to our part of the world, Sona and Uttara. If you go to Thailand, for example, there are places where they claim you can have the ashes of Sona and Uttara. Of course, I think so better to claim these ashes, the relics. Now, you guys have been to Singapore, the most famous temple in Singapore called the Buddha Tooth Relic Temple. How many of you have been to the Buddha Tooth Relic Temple in Singapore in the heart of Chinatown? Asoka started this tradition of the worship of the Buddha's relics. He redistributed the relics of the Buddha throughout as a very tangible form of the worship of Buddha. Okay? And this includes like the tooth of the Buddha. Okay? So in Singapore, there's a very famous temple called the Buddha Tooth Relic Temple, right in the middle of Chinatown. So they built, it's a very new temple. I don't think so more than 20 years old, so it's a very new temple. So the Singapore Chinese community spent a lot of money, collected a lot of funds to build the temple. The temple, if you go in, is built in Tang Dynasty style. Even the Buddha is built in Tang Dynasty style, very extravagant. The worship, the most important part of the temple, like the name says, Buddha Tooth Relic Temple, means the temple contains the tooth of the Buddha, right? Can you imagine they did a DNA on the Buddha tooth relic? They found out the Buddha tooth relic in Singapore comes from a tiger. The Buddha tooth relic did not come from the Buddha, but came from a tiger. So you should tell Singapore to change all their brochures, tourist brochure, instead called the Buddha Tooth Relic Temple, should now name to Canine Tooth Relic Temple. Then correct lah, or not false advertisement, isn't it? Okay. But sometimes religion is very controversial. Don't ever say too much about these type of things because religion is very personal, right? So cannot make fun of it. So the spread of Buddhism will eventually be one of the most significant export of India towards the world. In India, you will develop two forms of Buddhism, Theravada and Mahayana. So towards the south, the version, the Buddhism that comes out of to the south will be Theravada Buddhism. The ones that goes to China, Japan, and Korea will be Mahayana Buddhism. Okay? So the spread of Buddhism out of India, okay, either comes by a sea way or by the land route. Okay? If by the sea, it's usually by traders. By the land, also by traders and missionaries. And sometimes it's a boat-way journey. Okay? So many times you will see that through trade. And how many of you have seen this DVD drama series called Journey to the West? San Wukong. Okay, San Wukong, the monkey god series, right? It basically is the journey of Sun Zhang, okay, all the way to India to collect the Buddhist texts back, right? Okay, so that is the story of San Wukong. Is a novel text. It's a novel, but it's not real. Okay? It's not real, but it is founded on historical reality of the past. The monks from China will travel all the way to India to collect texts. Now, just now, when we talked about our class today is about what? Our class today is about India, right? So we'll talk about the beginnings of India. We talk about the Hindu era, and now we are talking about the Buddhist era of India. Okay. In Malaysia, you ask your friends, when you talk about Buddhism, right? Okay. How many of you think Buddhism is Chinese? How many of you think that Buddhism, Kaylee, hands up your hand, Buddhism is Chinese? Okay, let me say this in Malay. You know, I had this student who wrote this in my class before. Agama Buddha diasaskan oleh seorang putera Cina yang berperut buncit. Let me say that in English. Okay, Buddhism is a religion founded by a Chinese prince who had a big fat stomach. You know why that happened, right? Can you get
the statue?
Yes, the Buddha statue, the Chinese Buddha statue, the Nilofo or Maitreya, it is a very big fat Buddha with big stomach and a lot of kids on top of him. Okay, so many people will have that impression that Buddhism is Chinese. Okay, but no, Buddhism is Indian. So how did Buddhism become Chinese? Okay, Buddhism will spread out of India. And today's class is about Indian, not about Chinese now. Buddhism will eventually become Chinese. Buddhism will become Chinese in this place called Dunhuang. Okay, and we'll see this video clip to see how it becomes Chinese.
Dunhuang. Dunhuang. Dunhuang is an oasis in northwest China's desert. Since the 2nd century BC, Dunhuang had been a crucial stopover for Western and Oriental merchants who searched for trade and business. According to the old legend, in 366 AD, the monk Le Zun passed Dunhuang, which was suddenly overcome with golden lights, as if tens of thousands of Buddhas had shown their presence to the common people. The monk hired workers to dig grottos and build Buddha statues on the cliff to worship the Buddha. This is what we call the Mogao grottos. The Mogao grottos span 1,600 meters and include 492 grottos, with 2,100 painted Buddha figures and murals covering 45,000 square meters. The work on the Mogao grottos lasted 1,500 years and reflected the development of Buddhism in China. Dunhuang is a marvelous place where natural wonders and ancient art enhance each other's beauty. Now, Dunhuang is considered to be one of the most interesting places in China, where overseas travelers must visit. Dunhuang. Dunhuang.
So, in Dunhuang, what you have is the changing face of Indian Buddhism that will eventually become Chinese Buddhism. Okay, so today's class, basically, we can see the last part of our class, we can see the export of Buddhism from a very Indic concept. It will eventually go to other parts of Asia, and it will change. So much so, the Buddha can also change the gender. I'm sure a lot of this class, right, will worship Guan Shi Yin菩萨, right? Guan Yin菩萨, right? Okay. Guan Yin Pusat is female, right? Gender for the Chinese. But before it left China, it was a male deity. Okay? So the process of sending out the religion, okay, even the deity from male deity, from India, it left as male. By the time it reached China, it became female. No need to go to Thailand for transgender operation. So even the deity can change the gender from male. In India, it left China, India, and then eventually by the time it reached China, the form of the deity has changed to become female. So what I'm saying here is there will be changes in the religion. Okay, it's not a joke about the thing, or there's some serious to it. Okay, so today's class is very simple. We have talked about 3 different periods of Indic history, and you can see from the Indus Valley, and then the Hindu epic, and then finally the Buddhist part of India. Okay, the next time when we come back to India, we'll look at the classical point of view, and the classical India will see 2 things: the return to Hinduism and the export of Mahayana Buddhism. Okay, we'll go back to India a second time in a few weeks' time. So for our class today, we can end it here today, and we can stop for a few questions from you guys. Do you have any questions to ask? How many of you are blur about India? What you have to remember about India, number 1, it is a living civilization. So the biggest difference between today's class to last week's class is Mesopotamia and Egypt you see in the museum. Today's class you see among your friends. Okay, totally different. Okay, so Mesopotamia and Egypt can only see in the museum. But today's class, you can see the legacy remains today. Okay, next time when your friends in this class want to get married, you have to go and see what caste. Different castes cannot get married. So that is one example. Do you all still practice caste, Ahmad, Zarin, Abdali?
No, sir.
Not at all. Even for marriage.
I'm Muslim, so
Yeah.
caste doesn't exist.
Yes, even in Pakistan, although even among the Sikhs, okay, even among the Sikhs and the Buddhists, caste is no longer important, even among the Buddhists. But when it comes to marriage, surprise, even Pakistani Muslims and Bengali Muslims will see their potential partner. What is their descent? What is their family like?
Never heard of that, to be honest, sir.
Not at all.
No.
Totally. Oh, that's good. That's very egalitarian. If Pakistan has changed that much, that is very nice. Okay?
Sir, that is a double-edged sword. If I've not heard of it, meaning I've not seen enough of it. So
ask your parents, okay? Next on Thursday, tell us back. Ask your family members and tell me when the Indian Muslims, Bengali Muslims, or Pakistani Muslims, when you get married, don't look at any others, just look at marriage, because others are too simple already. Then just look at marriage and see whether there is a need to look at people's background.
Also, sir, I want to ask a question about the fact that you said that Alexander the Great influenced the worship of Buddha statues.
Yes, okay.
I heard another story of this, that it was actually Hinduism that influenced the worship of statues, due to the fact that Buddhism became such a great, competitor to Hinduism. Hinduism eventually just adopted it and said that this is a part of Hinduism, not an entirely different thing.
Okay. In Bhakti Hinduism, in this next week, the fourth week, in devotional Hinduism, the Buddha will be incorporated into Hinduism. How does the Buddha become part of Hinduism? Is that, in Hinduism, there are today we have not talked about it. In Hinduism, in Bhakti Hinduism, there are 3 most important Hindu gods. What are the 3 most important Hindu gods? Shiva, the destroyer, Vishnu, the preserver, and Brahma, the creator. The three most important gods of Hinduism. And in Vishnu, the preserver, he has 10 different avatars. Okay? And the 9th avatar of Vishnu is the Buddha. So if you ask your Hindu friends, they also go to the Buddhist temple, and then when they go to the Buddhist temple, you ask them, oh, you pray to Buddha for what? And they say the Buddha is the avatar of the Hindu god Vishnu. Is that what you're trying to mean, Abdali?
I didn't know that. No, I was trying to say that how slowly Buddhism just became a part of Hinduism, and through that, they start worshipping the Gautam Buddha, the statues, the idols of the Gautam Buddha.
The statues, they may have come from Hinduism, but not to that extent. The statues originated from because early Buddhism did not worship statues.
Exactly.
So in Buddhism, they worship the footprint of the Buddha, they worship the sarira, the relics of the Buddha, but they never worship statues. The concept of making statues came about when, for example, you have the Greeks in India. Okay? But if you want to say that Hinduism brought about the worship of Buddha statues, that is new to me today. Yeah, I didn't even know that. But Hinduism did incorporate Buddhism, especially Bhakti Hinduism. They will make Buddhism, they will take Buddhism and become part of Hinduism. Why? Because it's easy to influence people, right? If you say Buddhism is part of Hinduism, then your religion is my religion, we are the same. Okay? Psychology, isn't it? It's a method of gaining more. Because Bhakti Hinduism, the next time when we come back to India, you will notice that India will switch. Okay? Will switch from Buddhism back to Hinduism. Okay? Buddhism will eventually disappear from India. Okay? Buddhism will disappear from India in the 12th century. By the 12th century, Buddhism will have disappeared from India. No more Buddhists in India. One of the last strongholds of Buddhism will be in Bangladesh, for example, until the Muslim comes and the Muslims will totally remove Buddhism. The last straw of Buddhism in India will be the Muslim invaders, whether they are Turkic or whether they are Central Asians. They will eventually push out Buddhism out of India. Okay, so that is our class for today. How about the rest? Any other questions? Now, let's talk something more practical. You know any of your friends? Get to know your friends, and then you need to search for your group project. We still have a few more empty slots, right? Okay, for those.
Yes. Okay.
So you have to find out what are the. Okay, can you go to the times? Okay, what are the empty slots now? Do you know what are the empty slots?
I don't know where I should go.
Go to times. Okay, let me look at the. Hold on, let me. Let me open the page for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, while waiting, do you have any questions to ask? So, anybody wants a friend for? Okay, so you have. Okay, can you, Amason, are you there? Okay.
Yes.
Can you see the screen in front of you? What do you see?
Yes, I can see.
Spring 20, no, the group project, Yeah, here, the group project here.
Yeah.
Okay, click on it.
Okay.
What is available? I think so now we are, Oh yeah, by the way, do you guys have the word turn editing on your times? Or is it the lecturer only has that?
I think the lecturer only has it.
Yeah, I think the lecturer only has that. I never.
That thing, if you don't press that, you cannot press any of the things. No? When I was new, I didn't even know that thing existed. I did not press anything. Okay. So, what we have, you guys here, any one of you need a new friend for their group project or not? Or not, she has to do alone. Okay. Some of you are doing alone, okay, which is okay, no problem. Okay, do you have any issues about your group project?
Sir, how do we start it? You said we had to make some sort of poster.
Yes. Now, basically, don't worry about the poster.
Hi. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Say.
Okay. Go and find all the books about the project first. Don't worry about the poster. Okay, the poster is few weeks time. Okay. Find all the materials that you can find about your project. Get as many materials as possible, and then start dividing your work if you need to.
Sir, one question. Can I just use parentheses for, let's say, paragraphs when I use them from articles as references?
You can copy only 7 words, and if you copy more than 7 words, and you use, it is not considered as plagiarism. You guys know that, right?
Okay.
So you can only copy 7 words, and then more than that is considered as plagiarism. Now,
So can I choose any civilization?
no, what is left now is just the Jewish, the Indus Valley is still available, Jewish, Semitic, and then Inca and Abbasid. I think so the easiest for you will be Abbasid.
Okay.
So that will be taken. So let me change that. So can you do the Abbasid?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Now we have still 1, 2, 3, 4, a few more missing people. Do you know any of them? You guys, have you all go for other classes, right? Do you know these people like Ang Shun Ying? No, Ang Shun Ying is, God, sorry, my God. She's the uncle. Ang Shun Ying.
I've chosen, right? Sure.
Yes. You have chosen the Angkor. Okay. So,
Yeah.
So we are missing Chen Ka-shing. Do you know in any classes? What's the total number of students for your other classes? All of you should be in the same cohort, right? You guys will see the same people for your other classes. For English, it's the same people, right? Except minus 1 or 2. Okay, then what other classes are you taking this semester?
Some of us are taking calculus, some of us are taking college algebra.
So calculus, half of this class, I suppose. College algebra.
No. Calculus only 3.
Yeah, only 3 students.
College algebra.
Everybody, I
Quite
guess.
a few. Almost 20, I'm not very sure.
Okay, so basically you should be able to see. You notice, okay, I'm still missing a few people. Chen Ka-sing, do you see him? Have you met him? Or in any of class? Next person, Dani Shiva Chauhan. Doesn't ring a bell. Kim Kelly. Again. No. Sahwan Elahi. And lastly, of course, we have found the person already at Tabasum. Okay, so the rest are out there somewhere. Okay, so any questions for today or not, we can come back on Thursday for China. Okay, China, half of this class, more than 3/4 of this class are Chinese. So you will have the added advantage. Today we have 4 people who have added advantage about knowing about the Indic civilization. So on Thursday, the Chinese, the people of Chinese descent. I do not like to call you guys Chinese. We are not Chinese. Anybody ask you, never ever say that you are Chinese. You are Malaysians. Okay? We are of Malaysians of Chinese descent. Even the Chinese descent not important. You are just Malaysians. Okay. So that is our class on Thursday. Will be on ancient China. Okay? And ancient China, like ancient India, is basically a living civilization. And a lot of the things that are practiced in ancient China are still practiced even until today. Okay, so let's close up our class, and we can stop our class here unless you have any questions to ask. Do you have any questions?
I have a question to ask.
Yvonne.
Do we still have to study history for our next semester?
Oh, that one I do not know. Is it too boring for you, Yvonne?
No, I just need to preparing my book. I study before when I was in secondary school.
Okay. I'm not too sure. Okay.
But it's in Mandarin one. I need to refresh it.
Okay. At ADP, there are actually a few history papers. They are teaching only History 101 and History 102. Okay? History 101 is what we are doing now. History 102 is from the 16th century until today. Okay? And then there are optional history papers, American history, but nobody wants to teach it. Okay? So we only do 2 histories at uni here. Okay? History 101 and History 102. Okay, if you can get A for History 101, please come back for History 102. So you can get free A, right? Okay, history very easy to get A1. Yvonne, is it very difficult not from Chinese to English?
A bit. I need to memorize the word.
No, please don't memorize. Remember our first class? History is not about memorizing. No need to waste your time. Don't memorize. Read and understand. Okay? What's better still, take the book and go and read it when you're going to sleep. Then you can sleep easier at night.
Okay.
Don't memorize. Remember, again, our class is not about memorizing.
Okay.
Never say anything about dates, to memorize dates. Don't do that. It should be a fun class. It's not memorizing. Memorizing, all this in this world, you need to know anything. Anything you do not know, you ask Mr. G. Not God, Mr. Google.
Okay, sure. Thank you, teacher.
You want to remember everything. Even now, Abdali said about Hinduism and Hindu.
Teacher.
Yes.
For the textbooks you send in the PDF in the WhatsApp group.
Yes.
Can we get like the real books or something? Is there anywhere that sell these books?
You can try Kinokuniya. Or not, if Kinokuniya don't have, you can buy from Amazon. But why on earth do you want to buy that? I already gave it to you already.
Oh, it's okay.
Is that you guys are so rich that got the book in PDF, someone buy some more. Okay, now it reminds me, I need to pass to all of you all have the books, right? Okay. Can someone push the book back to the WhatsApp group so Tabason can have the books? Okay, because I already took the book out from my version will have all the markings, so I'm not going to give Tabason my version. Okay, you guys have the books. Okay, let me assign Vincent. Vincent, you downloaded, right?
Oh yeah, what?
Vincent, message to Tabason the 2 books, can?
Okay.
Okay, so you give Okay, so we're done. Thank you very much. Everybody okay or not? Okay. So we'll see each other on Thursday. Thank you. Unless
Okay.
you stop now. Take care. Okay.
Can I know what time?
Oh yeah, Thursday is at 1 o'clock to 3:30 on Thursday.
I'm sorry?
1 o'clock to 3:30 on Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So remember that different. Tuesday is 2:30 to 4:30. Thursday is 1 o'clock to 3:30.
Okay, thank you.
I'll give you the link before class. Okay. Thank you very much. See you guys. Bye.
Hey,
Bye.
Tabassum.
Bye. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
So, wait, can you wait, Tabassum, hello?
Huh?
Can you drop me your contacts?
What contact?
Tabassum's contacts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just drop it in the chat.
I just added her on the history group.
Okay. That's good.
Hey, before that, you guys, everybody, we have 23. Tabason put in her number name. Tabason, can you see the WhatsApp group? Look at the WhatsApp group and then reply your name as number 24, please.
Okay. Reply my number?
No, you go to the history group, okay, and then you notice it there's number 1 to number 23. Can you type in, copy the whole thing and then type in your name? So number 24 is your name, right?
I think I'm not in the group.
No, I have just added you. I have just added you.
But it's not there.
Okay. Okay. Are you in now? Oh, just now I sent to you personally, is it? Yeah, I sent to you personally. Okay. So, okay, Vincent?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Okay.
and add your name to number 24 there. Okay, so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Hey, Mr. Clarence, can you not end the call yet?
What did you ask, Vincent?
Yeah, don't end the call yet. Me and Josh want yum cha.
Virtual yum cha, we mean.
You know, we don't get the chance to yum cha, and now me and Josh has the chance right here.
You want me to go off or you want me to be in the group?
Just leave it on for a while, you know. For like 5 minutes probably. Just or for like 1
I'm
minute.
sorry, I didn't get it. So I add my name.
You see the name there, copy the whole thing and put number 24 as your name. So that is going to be the attendance, so I can use that and see in the attendance easily. Okay?
Okay.
Yes. What about
the link to?
Just copy it. Copy the thing. Copy. Okay, for example, I show you this. I'll copy it. Okay, I'll do it for you. For example, okay, then you don't have to do it again. Do it next week.
Okay.
Yes. Can you see it? Tabassum, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so do it next
week.
Okay, so it's easy to check when this and then get down the attendance for the class. Okay, you guys.
So I should put my name every time?
Yes. So it's easy to check to mark the attendance for our class. It will not be very difficult everybody to check the attendance for the class.
Okay.
Hey Josh,
The
come
word,
I help you 倒茶呗.
Hey,
Come, come.
don't go and stir.
hey, thank you.
Okay.
Can you use Josh? Are you in the same group? Josh,
Yes.
Josh, Josh Chong Yu Heng, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So you guys are doing the Buddhist kingdoms, Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So can I end the call, or do you have anything to tell me?
I think we are 凉茶 already. That's enough for today.
Okay lah.
Yeah, 凉茶 already.
Next time lah. Next time.
Oh, Tabasan, by the way. Hello.
Can you speak?
Hi.
I'm Vincent.
Vincent?
Yes, I'm Vincent. Now I'll be your friend now.
Okay, nice to meet you.
I'll be your friend too. I'm
Yes.
Josh.
Vincent will give you the textbook. Don't forget.
Yes, I'll give it to you real soon.
Thank you.
I'll text you first. Yes.
He's the one that wanted to buy just now.
Bye.
Who wanted to
Is it Yvonne? I think it was Yvonne, right?
You're too rich.
Don't, but I'm not into like people. I want to use the computer. So easy to search for it.
Okay. So anyway, so that's it for today, Tabasan. I hope you can understand our class. You had a very interesting question to ask. Why are you doing engineering and then you are forced to be in this class?
Yes.
Is this class forced for everyone?
Kinda. For me, yeah.
Yeah, no good. My class has always been a free choice class. I never know that my class has become compulsory. If it's free choice, then it becomes easier because you guys are wanting to be part of this class and not coming to this class because you are forced to.
Yeah, I actually like history. I was just curious because I didn't choose it.
Maybe they have changed their. I really do not know. I'm not the one who decides who comes into my class. But as I said previously, it was just all by free choice. But now, since I have more students, then my classes have always been very packed because I have so many people. Now, since that everybody is forced to, then it will be even more packed next time. Okay, so I hope you can catch up. Just since you don't have the printer, just read through the notes on screen. And if you are very rich, you want to buy the book, you can ask Yvonne how to get the book. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.